Right. Hello and good evening. My name is Chris Palmer with chrispalmer.org. In today's video, I want to share with you two things. First and foremost, I need to share with you patience business owner. The two elements that I want to share with you are going to be pertaining to your content marketing and how it can complement your service ads, your meta ads, your any type of advertising you're doing. The goal is to show up in the three places, right? Actually, to show up in more. The objective is to increase what is called EPC, the probability of you generating a click you're trying to increase. How do you do this? By showing up in as many places as possible and being top of mind to your potential customer. We want ads, we want maps, we want organic, right? With that being said, the two pieces of content marketing, this is one element. We're talking about search, all right? This is one piece. At the end of the day, there's two types of content. You have your service-based or high commercial intent content, right? And I understand there's navigational and there's also going to be your branded traffic, right? But we're looking at high commercial intent, and then we're also looking at your informational, top of the funnel. What I'm going to share with you is going to be two actual clients, some we're currently working with and another that we have worked with in the past that has implemented. One who has shown clear patience and one that should move a little faster. With that said, my name is Chris Palmer. Very simple page, chrispalmer.org. That's me, in case you couldn't tell. Services, consultation, you want to schedule a call or fully managed. This is a stream. This will be edited. We'll discuss many things. I'll give you as many tips as possible. I want you to walk away from this video with more information that will empower you so you can go and get more leads, more sales, more calls. That's the objective here. What we're really looking for here, moving forward into 2026 here, we're already in February, is I'm looking for businesses, agencies like you, perhaps. Are you really good at managing clients? You're very good at operations, right? Are you tired of going to white label providers? And when you get there, you actually find out after a year or two in the industry or 5 years in the industry that you're actually getting retailed? Please book a call with me. All of your off-page, on-page, your technical and strategy, we've perfected the actual work. If you're great at getting clients, managing clients, if you're the integrator, I have the rest covered, all right? Come on over here. You can do a sample work with us if you'd like. chrispalmer.org. Please, by all means. Tripped over my light. Consultation, book a call, fully managed services. You can scroll on down here. You can see what we have to offer. If you need anything else, we have managed services too. We started with Google Business Profile. Alongside of that, we also went on for PR services. You want fully managed GBP? You want any type of PR service? I have you covered. All right, enough about me. I'm here to help you. So let's go ahead and get into this. All right, I send my small piece. Should I leave that on? Maybe I will. Here, let's see how it looks. All right, it's good to see you too this evening. Haircut time. It's a little chilly in here. I'm not going to lie to you. All right, but it's been worse. With that said, we're going to come on over here. Let me show you something. So this is a pest control company that we worked with not too long ago. Very sweet lady in the pest industry. And I want to point something out. We still do some map stuff. When you're working with a provider, I would urge you to stick with your provider. Things will take longer than you perceive. And the first piece of information that has to do with content marketing is first and foremost, is just because you put a piece of content out, when you create it the first time, doesn't mean that there doesn't need to be supporting content, and it doesn't mean that it should not be re-optimized, okay? The second element that I'll show with you a live client, because we'll have two live clients, right? Well, one past client. These are projects that we've worked on in the past, generally a done with you solution. They wanted to manage it themselves for a lower cost, right? I love doing that as well. Sometimes you get clients that don't want to pay. Hey, they don't want fully managed. They want to have their hands in the business. I that. You urge that. I love that. I'd love to work with you. ChrisPalmer.org. With that said, I want to point this out. You know, you're catching small wins. I'll show you something here quick. Watch this. So what is physiotherapy? I have a client out there. Well, hopefully you won't know what that is here. I'll show you something here. I see permissions, Google. All right. All right. So here's what I want to point out to you. Okay. Come over here quick. Let me show you something. Here, take a look at this. When you have your site.com, right? As we go further and further into the structure, we're showing less and less importance, right? You can take it there's more than one way to win, and this is my opinion, okay? That's what it is, all right? This is my personal opinion. This is how we win. If there's other modes of thought out there, by all means, have at it. Good luck to you. But something that I found in local markets specifically, when we are targeting, you have a top level page here. This will be a service, right? So when I have a top level page that's targeting service, and then I have site.com, right? / service, and I have supporting content, which goes here. Okay? This is supporting content. This topic supports this main idea. All right? And this will be questions: who, what, when, why, where, how, do, best of, and versus pages, right? This supports this idea. Now, in this particular example that we're talking about here together, we have a pest control page, okay? So let's say it's pest control. So if I have pest control, and let's say that we are doing Newark, okay? Here's when I have my informational content following the structure that we just talked about. When we have we don't want to use pest control. In the title, the H1, and the URL. What is extermination? Then you'll have your page.com / service, right? / supporting article. See, I'm able to target the same term, but with a variation, right? This way, Google's not confused. I have depth of concept based upon a particular service type. And on top of that, this is the other element that I see. And I hope that this makes sense to you. This is variation of text. This is pest control. We're talking about, well, what is extermination? And then we can optimize for the locations that we service in New Jersey. But title tag URL H1 is targeting, well, what is this? And we're going to use exterminator. This is just one example. Okay? Is this the only way to win? No. You will have much more success. Here's the other element of this that I want to point out to you, okay? And we're going to talk about this strategy here. When we come inside of our pages, okay, here's your page. This is a page for you, okay? When we're inside of our pages, all right? So this is a web page, right? Typical web page, you'll have your home, right? This will be your contact bar, right? Contact, right? You'll have your drop downs with your locations in them, right? You're with me so far? This is probably sidebar. You get the picture here. So the other element that I want to point out to you is when I have my pages, what I don't want to do on a high commercial intent page, for instance, this is pest control, Newark. When I have a page that's optimized, that means title, URL, okay? H1, H2s, H3s, probably another H2, another H3. When you're creating high commercial intent, this is commercial intent, okay? I do not want in heading tags or anywhere else in a high commercial intent page, I do not want to see questions. Expertise, trust, authority, right? And then there's three main categories that matter the most. It's relevance, prominence, location, okay? Then when we start looking at other aspects of the actual page, we know that the authority, the trust, your expertise matters. Experts don't ask questions. They make statements. Questions have their own pages, okay? So what I don't want to see on a high commercial intent page is you create your page, and then inside the schema type, you have your breadcrumbs, right? You have your OG. Then you have the audacity, you'll put local business, right? You'll put your organization, you'll name your web page, and then you'll put article and then FAQ, right? No, that is not the place for it. This is a high commercial intent page. We make statements. If we want to have supporting content, we create supporting content. Your service pages are not facts pages. That's supporting content. I see this a lot, and I disagree with it immensely. And the last thing you want to do is you'll have, I'll speak with business owners, perhaps you've even thought this yourself. And the rebuttal or the element will always be, yes, but Chris, I see in the top that on this page here that's been here for 8 years, and then you look at this one, this guy that's been here for 5 years, or this gal, right? And then this business here that has an exact match, they have the facts. You can't look at an 8-year-old website, web page more specifically, a 5-year-old web page, or an exact match, and then match and model people that are winning off of yesterday. And on top of that, certainly not winning off an exact match. You have to be very clear with your intent and what you're doing in your expertise. Experts will make statements on high commercial intent pages, right? Syntax matters. The sentiment of the page, it matters. What you say on the page and how it's structured, it all matters. Okay, I want to point this out to you. It's very, very important. This was a huge shift. When the helpful content update shifted, two big things happened, right? One of them was page age. Page age shifted. Another thing that happened was referring domain counts. That happened. Shrunk. That's when categories shifted on. The other piece was when sentiment, entity, right? Entity density, your syntax of the overall page. These are the things that started mattering a lot more. Okay? Let's move forward. Now back to this client and having patience and how to get a lot more leads, get more phone calls. All right? Now, when you are, I'll show you something. Let me point this out to you. All right. So you have a business. You don't want to look and see that, hey, at once upon a time, if you're receiving a bunch of traffic, all right, we'll talk about this. We're winning in maps and getting new pages in place that are targeting high commercial intent base will seem like you're losing in the short term. However, there is a massive difference between, I want to point this out to you, and don't get discouraged. If you're winning for near me terms and you're winning for location specific terms, or on your way, starting to get impression share, starting to move up in rank, right? See, if I start pushing up, see this? My clicks are starting to increase. Here's the time frame, the smaller time frame, right? So if I look at the last year, yes, for you might look as a business owner and say, oh, I see myself for these terms. Yes, but they're non-commercial intent terms. Also, they're not terms that are going to convert. And also on top of that, when you are getting any type of click, it's informational, right? Or even if you look at, sometimes you'll see the impressions. In the short term, it may seem like you're losing, but keep an eye on the terms that are coming into position. Are they high commercial intent or are they informational? Am I starting to win in more locations for more services? Am I winning more broad match terms? Am I winning near me terms? I think there's a wild difference between, I'll show you something here. Let's turn this on. And I'm just using this as an example. Okay. And then I'll point out one other element for you. Okay. Come on down in here and I'll point this out. Okay. So you have your branded terms. Okay. You can take branded terms, 10.9. We have our 2. Let's see if we could switch these babies around a little bit. All right. Brand's going up. Here we are again here. Brand starting to increase. But these are the big ones that you're after. High commercial intent, high intent for purchase. As a small business owner, you're not a blog. Yes, information assisted selling is a good idea, but that's top of funnel. And most businesses aren't tracking each of the clicks to know, okay, what is the average timeline when a person engages with a piece of informational content with my brand? How long does it take for them to come circle back around and do business with me? Let's just say this pest control company, yes, maybe it takes a year, right? We're on high commercial intent. They might make a decision that day. That's all I'm getting at. Keep an eye on your terms, and things don't happen as fast as you want them to. I'll point something out. Come on over here. So we had to have a shift. I'm just showing you this as one example. A, you don't put up a piece of content and you're done. You don't set your first piece of content up, lay in your foundation, and that's it. You need to re-optimize. And on the second example I'm going to share with you, this is where we've gone back and re-optimized. Again, it's a done with you type of situation. They've gone back and retuned, and that's the big takeaway for today. I'll share with you how you can actually increase the overall visibility of a page by actually influencing it to rank more key terms. And that's the name of the game. I don't want 9 trillion pages, right? Like I was watching this foreign dude, right? And he's clicking in Turkey or wherever the heck he is, blasting out hundreds of pages. And that's cool, man. But in local markets, just because you're following something and it might work for e-commerce or it might work for affiliates or it might work for brands that are already established that have huge budgets or they're in completely different markets in different countries, doesn't mean that it's going to work in these types of markets. I would highly, just because it's semantically connected, doesn't mean I need to have a page on it. All right? Be very focused on service and supporting. Be very focused on your structure and the way you internally link. Okay, we talked about this. Now, here's the other piece I want to share with you. Time frames to switch over, and I see this a lot. Here, I'll share this with you. Here, we'll do a quick refresh here. Let's see if we can get on to let's just look at, instead of comparing here, we'll just take a look at how about a 12-month window? All right, so a year time frame, okay? Here, let's get a bigger window so we can look better. Okay, sound good? All right, so we'll look at a year window. Let's get into our web search. We have our queries, we have our pages. This is good. We'll go back to overview. We'll go back on down to here. We'll look at average position. Let's see if we can get a bigger play here. Let's do custom, and I'll show you something. You'll be able to see a time frame that it took to take all of the informational content, get rid of that, and then start honing in on high commercial intent, location-based service pages, put up the skeleton. So take basically the same page, stuff it in as many places as possible that you actually service, and then start creating your informational content. But not informational content where you're creating the same page 10 times. That's a bad idea. It's very particular pieces of content. Who needs this service? How much is this service? Where is this service? Why do I need this service? Do I need this service? Who's the best that offers this service? And me versus the best people. This builds the best depth of concept. I've answered every question in the funnel. That's your goal. And then the whole time that you're doing this, you're adding more keywords to your high commercial intent pages while you're building links and doing the rest of your marketing. That's the play. So here, I'll show you a timeline here. And then I'll share with you someone that follows. And then you can see the difference, adding key terms at the same time, okay? And this is the strategy. And then I'll even do the walkthrough with you on how you do this, okay? Bear with me here. So here, come on over here. And here's what we're going to look at. So we'll just open this up. I don't know how big the window is. How big of a window are you going to give me here? So it tracks back to 2024. Let's just do all of 2025. Sound fair? We'll start in January. I just want to show you so you have a general idea of how long does it take to turn a site around and then just get back on track. Not even start clicking yet. Plus, note, pest control, especially in cold places, is a very seasonal business. So results may vary, okay? But this will give you a good guideline, just so you know. And then note too, just because you initially lay in content, it's not done. It just started, right? Just because you did something doesn't mean it's done. Like, don't think that. And it's going to take you way longer than you think, especially organic. But that's why there's maps. That's why there's local service ads. That's why there's social ads, right? You with me? Excellent. I'm glad we could share this moment together. So we'll do this to what now? Okay, we'll do a year. We'll look at this. How's that? 25? Better yet, I think it said it would go back to 24, right? If I'm not mistaken. October 11th of 24. There we go, to now. And then you'll be able to see a timeline of sorts. I believe you should be able to. Let's take a little peek here together. Pages, countries, months. February. I want to see a big, oh, here we go. Weekly, monthly, web type, sure. Reset filters, wonderful. There we go. Then we'll go here. Let's see if we can look at 16. There you go. There it is, folks. There's the switch up. So there's your timeline here, right? So you guys probably saw me. I think I made a video in August or the beginning of September, right? So look at, so you could see as soon as we kill, not, I don't want to use that term. As soon as we re-optimized, right? And we don't do design. I specialize in SEO, right? It's not about that. Google can't even read. What matters is getting the core concepts in position, answering all the questions. So I answer everyone in the funnel to convey my expertise. That's what matters, right? And then I don't want Google to be confused. And don't be, if you're working with an agency, don't be fooled by production of informational content that gives you short-term spikes of not even clicks, but impression share. I'm just saying. Like, I see this all the time. They're doing 6 blogs, like anything that's just set, like, okay, this is part of a package and it's not custom where it changes every month. Like, if you don't have custom work each month, you may want to reevaluate the way you're doing your content marketing. That's all. It's up to you. All right. Take a look at this. So when we see this, you could see I probably did it. I think we did it in here, to be honest with you. 9/25, like August here. So this is where we saw our pop. But the problem was not a problem, right? Budgets, time, seasonality, other thought processes going on, is that if you don't go back and re-optimize, if you don't go do keyword gap analysis, if you don't build links, you don't have any social presence, and then you just lean into what's working, which is maps, you're going to fall behind. You're going to stay stagnant then. Yeah, like you got an initial pop and you were able to crush all of the stuff except for service-based keywords, as you saw before. Like, we went from informational terms, all fell, impression share dropped, but what went up? Well, impression share and rankings for keywords that actually matter. High commercial intent. Big difference. Do you want to be on your way to winning who needs pest control in a city or buy pest control in a city? It's up to you, right? I want both. That's what we want. So that's that. Now I want to convert your eyes over here, or divert your eyes to this gentleman here. So we're going to look at a specific page here. All right. So this is Lighthouse Man. This guy's a cool dude, right? Now, this gentleman here, great guy, by the way. It's a 2-part business, and these are one of my favorites. I really like businesses that work like this. You know, a lot of times I'll talk with service area businesses, or I'll talk with local service businesses that have storefront, but they'll do online as well, right? They allow people to come, they'll service people, they'll install stuff, right? So you could have installation, I'll sell you the product, I have technicians, we have expertise, we even have products on hand. We'll even drop it off to you, right? So it's like an e-com, there's multiple facets to the business. Great model, right? And that's this guy here. So when we take a look at this, I want to point this out to you. So you can see if we shut this part off, okay? You have the rankings. Let's just shut this off too, and let's just watch. As you see the pops in impressions, this is where reoptimizations took place. If you remember, probably around the same time, what we did is we changed, with this particular gentleman, he has the idea already, but I changed his mode of thinking when we re-optimized the page, a home page, and got it to pop and then started cleaning pages off. When he saw that that strategy worked, he started deploying it on other pages. This is just one that I picked out. And I want to utilize this page in order to show you the strategy on how you can maximize visibility and rankings and the new way of tuning content moving through this year. All right. I don't want a bunch of more pages. I want my pages to rank for more key terms. And this is how you do it. And you can see, here's the success again. All right. Same exact strategy as the last one I just showed you. That was a pest control. You put the stuff up, you retune. You don't add a bunch more pages trying to hit the variations of term. No. You put up a page, you keep retuning it, adding more terms, and here's how you do it. So we're going to take a look at this page right here. All right. And you can see this has gone through, it's going through its third phase here. 1, 2, 3. It's gone through 3 iterations. That's 3 content gap analysis. That's 3 batches of link curation. That's 3 re-optimizations, or if we're working in the law space, page refreshes. All right, you with me? So here you go. Here's how you want to do this. So we're going to take this page here as the example. Now, I like the colors, but there's nothing fancy here. This guy's doing numbers, right? And what I mean by this is he's getting clicks, he's earning business, right? I know lots of businesses that would love to get 5,000 hits a month, right? Or whatever the case, even 100. This is one page that we're looking at. One page, okay? Nothing special, but he's retuned it. He's doing a good job. So here's the play for maximizing visibility and getting more traffic 2026, all right? So you can do this multiple ways, but here's what I would start with. You're going to come on over here to the page that is in question, or the page that you're looking to do a refresh on or a update on. And what we want to do is we want to come inside of here once we've identified the page. Okay. I got a new stool. It's kind of short, so I got to fix things up here. Hopefully you guys and gals don't mind. All right. I need a little break here. We're going to come over here to queries, and we're going to take a look down the list. All right. Now we can see our impressions here, and that's perfectly fine. And we want to take a look at our average position. So we have impressions, we have clicks, and we have average position on. All right. Now what we're looking for is we're looking for terms and phrases, okay, that are on a page, okay? And there's another piece of this that can be very helpful, and this is where your AI tools can get in, but I don't want to complicate this. I want to give you the formula for success, and then if you want to find other ways of doing it or other ways to complicate it or ways to drag it out, that's up to you, or maybe even speed it up. Completely up to you. But the next thing that you'll want to do here is, as we're going down, we're looking for positions that are low, but are generating clicks with high impression share. Generally, if you have a low position, but a lot of impressions with a few more ads, and we're going to go through this in a second, to the page, you can really pick this page up the rankings. Like this has 470 impression share or impressions, and it's number 73. But there's one more element that we want to do, right? And this is where your AI tools, or maybe if you have some other type of tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs or Moz or whatever you decide to use. And the other element that you want is you want to export this list here. You'll gather all the queries, maybe like this, okay? So you'll gather up all of these. We're going to sort by click. So what are we getting clicks on here? I like to start with clicks personally. So this right here, Lighthouse Keeper. So this is a term, keeper jobs, keeper job, Lighthouse job, lighthouse job. So these are variations. We're going to keep going down. How much does a lighthouse keeper make? So this is a number 6 position, 5,000 impressions, 37 clicks. So we're just going to use this as an example because this is number 6, and I do believe that this might be a variation of the primary. Do lighthouse keepers still exist? So this is another really good one. So position 5, could we get up there? So I see 24 here. So that tells me that this year we want to get this retuned, reoptimized, maybe for the current year, because people are searching for this based upon year. But what we're doing is we're gathering this list. Generally, what we'll do is we'll export it like this. All right. So we're going to bring this over. Now we have all of our pages in a list. All right. Now, again, the equation is very simple. High click or high impression share and very low rank. So if I start seeing things like this, where I come down here, we'll come on down here to the bottom. Okay. I like these types 6, 6, 3, these types. Golden. Let's go back into here. Queries. We'll go down our list here. Position. All right, here we go. Position 10, 10 clicks, 394 impressions, and we're already getting a pretty decent click-through rate. So the next thing that we would want to do generally is this. All right. So if you're using a tool, what you're looking for next is what is called search volume. Okay. So the next analyzation is you cherry pick the ones that have low rank, like a 10, a 15, a 20, but they have high impression or they're starting to get some type of click. Sometimes it'll be 0 click, but high impression and low rank. Make your list. Let's just pretend that this is your master list right here, right? So what you would do then is let's just say this is your master list, hypothetically speaking. What you'll do then is you'll take each of these terms and you'll open up a tool like SEMrush or Moz or Ahrefs, and you'll do a search volume, a volume check for those terms or those term variations or phrase variations to see which ones have the highest probability of getting a click. Because that's what we would generally do if we're working on high commercial intent. We'll take the phrases that have high search volume or any search volume really. Because, lighthouse keeper job, yeah, it might be ranking 7.86 and it got 72 clicks. And this is hypothetical. I'm just saying, for instance, right? But this only generates 200 hits a month. Well, this down here, lighthouse keeper salary, look at this. It's ranking 7 and got 25 clicks. 9,000 impressions, a bunch of eyeballs. I do a search for this because look at the impressions. 9,400. Wow. I go and do a search inside of SEMrush or in Moz. And then I find out that, hey, this particular phrase, when I do a search just for this, gets 1,300 hits a month. Just that phrase. You with me so far? So then what do? Well, this is what you do. You're going to grab this. We know that we're already ranking that page. So lighthouse keeper salary. Let's take this one. This is a perfect example. We've already analyzed that we're not top of the page. We are page 1. I like it to be usually middle of the page because that means I'm almost there. I probably just need links or I need retuning. But let's just say this is number 7. Lots of impressions. This is usually a clear indicator that there's search volume and there's a high probability of getting more searches. And then this right here is we have 25 clicks have been generated. So it's interesting. Google is rewarding us with traffic. The traffic you receive or the potential traffic, impressions, is what your page is about. So you don't want to just add stuff. That's where this semantic idea is good, right? But just because it's semantically connected doesn't mean I want to stuff it all in. Some do this, and that there's lots of ways to win. But I want to lean into what Google's already rewarding me with. I don't want to work. We don't want extra work. We don't want to make Google work. We want to just, you're giving me position 7. There's a bunch of search volume. You give me 25 clicks. There's a bunch of potential traffic here. Then on top of it, I do a double check inside of one of my tools or even this tool here, and I see there's volume. Well, what we want to do then is we come over here And the very next step is very simple. We're going to take a look at this page here. We're going to do a Control F, right? We'll go here, Control F. It's not even on the page. The phrase is not even on the page. Get it? Do you think Google has already rewarded me with 25 clicks? Google has already said I'm number 7 for this, and the term doesn't even show up on the flipping page. Do you think by adding this onto the page 2 to 3 more times, and I'll share with you how you can get the actual amount, do you think that this would allow us to jump position? Well, here's the next step. Let me share this with you. So you come on over here, and this is just one opportunity. Did you see all the opportunities the lighthouse man had? Go check your own. How many opportunities are you leaving on the table? This is the way. Keep pumping that page. Don't create another page. I want this page to be so in depth that it would be unjust for Google not to rank you. You've answered every question. You have it all, right? So we come inside of here and we take a look. We want to make sure we're in the right place that we want to rank. In my case, this is USA. We take a look at this term. We're looking at the search results. So Google's rewarding up here towards the top of video. Do I feel that it would be in my best interest to utilize, if this was a big key term for me or a big subtopic or sub idea, would it be in my best interest to create a video or a video carousel and embed it into my page and it be hosted on YouTube? Probably. That's why they make video carousel schema. And then you make your video carousel. With me? This is opportunity. This shows depth of concept. This is how you become an authority. Okay? So that's one idea. There's another sub idea for you. But as we come down here, what we want to do is we could see ZipRecruiter's winning this. I'm not a big fan of that. That hurts my heart. Why? This is an authoritative asset. I'm a modern day lighthouse keeper. So we have Reddit. So Google is rewarding Reddit. Now, the old game of going in there to subreddits, like finding the answers here and going in, Reddit got hip to that a year ago. Okay. I still see people pumping out videos, but oftentimes what they'll do is they'll take these old posts, they'll put this in here. And before we were going in, then you make your own answer and then you go buy the upvotes and then you shoot to the top. When they come in, it's opinion sculpting. Then they see your idea, right? It worked great for about 6 months last year, right? It was great. But now, after Google ransacked Reddit and got all of their content after their little deal, right? And then before they went public, remember that? And Google sucked up all the content and then launched the new Gemini model. Remember that? You remember that? I remember that. I saw that. Well, right after that, then they pushed. Look at this. Will generally be what is called archived. This is what you find. So then when you come in here to try to leave new stuff, unless you're an original commenter or you have an older account, the probability of you answering and getting to the top on an archive post is, well, null to none. So that's out the window. But here's the new hustle, new game. If you have a community, especially if you're in the lighthouse space, and let's just say we want to talk about these lighthouse keepers or beekeepers or this or that. What in this particular case, it's lighthouse keeper salaries. Well, if it would be in your absolute best interest to have a community, experts have communities where they get like-minded experts into one place and they talk about said topic. There's more value and you could potentially get inside of this SERP with a Reddit community or post. Why? Google's already showing it. You see how one phrase, one idea stemmed a whole new opportunity for new revenue and traffic for you. You see this? And it's all right here in front of you. I add the phrase more times to the page, I'm better optimized for it. Google's already rewarding me for it. I can see that Facebook is here as well. Do you have a post that's targeting this? Have you talked about this? Do you have a community on Facebook? Here's opportunities and they're already being rewarded. Google rewards freshness. If I have the newer, same thing but newer, generally I can get rewarded. Not every time, Not always, but sometimes. I know lots of guys that do very well off 2%. I only get lucky 2% of the time, and they do very well. So that's all I'm getting at. You have to throw the lure in the water to hit. All right, business owner. So we can see indeed. So this phrase here is probably not going to be something that we want. Now, we don't know if by changing location or searching from, say, New York City instead of Philadelphia, or searching from Houston or searching from LA, if Google will reward a different SERP. But this phrase, this particular opportunity here, I'm not seeing it in here. Okay. I don't see what I want to see, but then again, I'm in PA and I have my search history on. You with me? But let's say that we did find. Let's go look for one. We'll do it. We'll finish this off. So since I'm not a big fan of that one, we're going to keep it going. And we'll point out one. That way we could follow this strategy through. Okay? But do you get the point here? We're looking for opportunities, low position of rank, high impression share, high potential click. And then if there's already clicks, even better. But I like low rank, high impression, or maybe already getting some clicks. But here, let's keep going. Duties of a lighthouse keeper. So see how it's low impression? Like if I go search this phrase here, I guarantee you the probability is there's barely any search volume, if none at all. So see how that last one was 1,300? Watch this. So when you see low impression share, low potential click, look at 70. See that? See, the potential click is always going to help me determine what my opportunity is going to be, right? So, and you can see this clearly defined here by taking a look at the impression, okay? So as we go down, we're looking for high impression, low rank, all right? But we know that we're already, traffic is what Google thinks the site's about. We're just leaning into, hey, Google, what do you think? Oh, you think this page is relevant for this? Let's go help it out some, right? But here, let's keep going. Why lighthouse job is dangerous? 900. This is 48. Lighthouse worker. Aha. Number 10. So this could potentially be like a ZipRecruiter, this type of stuff. So we don't want to have to fight with that. See this impression, 16. We have 8, so we're bottom of the page. We're going to keep going here. 25, 406, lighthouse keeper jobs worldwide. That's interesting, but we don't serve a worldwide market, so we don't want to lean into that. Number 11, so we're bouncing around. See this 9.5? That means that we're popping around pages, right? That means we're bouncing from page 2, page 1, page 3. We're bouncing around when you see a decimal point like this. Generally, from my experience, this means that I have a page that Google's testing it, or a term that it's testing me for, and that means I'm bouncing all around, right? Usually out in this area here. The most volatile space is off of those top 5 spots. Like that stuff flickers all around. So be careful out there. All right. You want to get up onto the first page in the top 7, 5 spots, somewhere in that range. It's far less volatile. All right. In case you didn't already know that. So I see this one. This one has nice opportunity, living in a lighthouse. We have an 11, right? 1,700. So I'm assuming there is some type of traffic here, or potential traffic on volume. Remember, this is informational. This is an informational piece. So we can see it's a 480 a month. Now, we already talked about these secondary opportunities. It's all about being omnipresent. That's what it's all about. That's the name of the game. The more places that I'm present, the higher probability I'm perceived as the expert. The more times I could get people mentioning my brand and my services together, it's kind of like, I've used this example before. When you think shoes, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Nike, right? Okay. When you think luxury car, what's the first thing that pops in your head? But on their ads, they never even say it. You with me? Okay. If I say Red Bull, what pops in your head? It gives you wings, right? These things are synonymous. They pop in that. When you think search, what pops in your mind? Google, right? That's what you're trying to do with your business. That's what you want the whole World Wide Web chanting, all right? And it starts small, one piece at a time, okay? I know, the patience is virtue here. Every single, almost not all. I met a gentleman 3 years ago. Like when I met him, I knew it. Like, he's like, dude, we're going to go take over this market. I'm like, I heard that before, right? But, and it took 2 years, but it did. We did. And you can too. And if you see at the top, like, I have this talk all the time with business owners or my friends generally, right? But think of this. Like, even if you go to a SERP, and let's say that you want to win a term, and we're going to get back to the strategy here. But let's say you get to a term that's such as this, right? I see at the top, it's Reddit, but let's say that these were service businesses. Like, let's say you're in the pest control and you see Orkin and Terminex and all these brands and businesses and services that are huge brands and they're like crazy and you think you'll never win. Remember this. Everybody already knows the quality of service. They have already seen them there. Just like you just look past the ads, a lot of times, some people will just go right past that. They're looking for a local service company. They want somebody to build that rapport with, right? And on top of that, think about this. The number 5 guy at Facebook is rich, right? Like, I'm sure he's doing very well. Like, you don't have to be at the top. It's the best. Yeah, it's great. But I'll take a lower position if I have to. I'd rather be in the game than not at all. I'm just saying. I get this all the time. Chris, look at it's these huge brands. Like, yeah, I know, but digitally, you always have a chance. And secondly, be the best number 2 you can. So that's that. And now let's keep moving on. So we've identified a phrase. So we're going to go take a look here. So we already know that we are getting 8 clicks. We're jumping around here, page 1, page 2. Not a good click-through rate, right? Like, we need to get better optimized. So living in a lighthouse. So we're going to go back to this page and we're going to see, does it even show up on the page? Okay, it does not. So the first thing I want to do is, where can I add this phrase? Because Google's showing me impressions, even giving me clicks for this phrase, but it doesn't even show up on the page. Google already thinks I'm relevant for it. Add it to the page. Where? You wrote your content. This gentleman here, he wrote this, right? Where can I stick it in? I only need to add it once or twice, but then I'll get, well, Chris, how many times should I add it? Well, and that's this step here. Take a look over here. We're going to go back over. We put the phrase in, and you want to know how many times to add it? Well, I'm not going to go to a directory. If this was a service key term, not an informational type phrase, well, then I would look at Reddit to figure out, well, how many times did they say the primary key term, right? I would still look at them for on page. But let's look for something that's relatively similar. Here we go. Now, this is a government page, but still, this is an informational piece. Do they say it on the page? Yay or nay? Control V. Living. So they only put it in, is this the H1 time? Is this the H1 tag? So they have so they put it in their title tag. They are heavily optimized. And then they have it in their H1 tag. So living in a lighthouse, 4 separate words. So anytime that shows up on the page, I can still be tuned for that phrase. Are you with me? That's probably why my guy brought it in. So let's just say living in a lighthouse. So in and a is not, or at a, those are stop terms, so we don't care about that. So living in lighthouse. So this is SEO Quake. It's a free tool. 3 times. And then I'm assuming he already has this. 5. So there we go. So living in the lighthouse, we're going to go here. Aha. So there we go. So here's why Google's giving me some type of reward, because it shows up on the page, just not an exact match. The exact phrase doesn't show up. So if he adds that exact phrase, guarantee he hits the first page. He's going to hit that page. There's no question in my mind. Or he's going to definitely, no question in my mind, move up from this. Will stop jumping around and it'll be a solid first page hit, or it'll be a solid listing. It might be 9, it might be 7, it might be 10. He will go up and it will stay. Do you get this concept? Excellent. And this is what you want to do depending on the company that we're working with. You know, if you have it always comes down to time and money, unfortunately, right? So when we're talking about business, it's time and dollars. If you have the budget, once a month you're doing refresh, right? Most businesses do it every 90 days, right? But when you're doing when you're first doing a setup and you lay in your pages, right? You lay in I call it the skeleton. You lay in the page, right? We just want to get stuff indexed. I want to say, hey, Google, I do this service in this location, right? You put in the elements. Okay, we're tuned here. All right, we got the brand. All right, we broke up the page to put the calls to action. All right, break that up. All right, let's get the density in there. All right, let's talk about the county. Let's talk about the subservice in this area. Anything that's relevant, right? Let's lay it in. It's not pretty. Let's just lay it in there. Break it up with the calls to action. Let's hit our, right? You get it? Let's take care of our internal linking, and then let's get indexed. Then you're going back to re-optimize, add your pretty photos, put it into position, and get it however you want it. Meanwhile, we're also doing page refreshes and leaning into what Google's rewarding you with, right? What you don't want to do is stop. What you don't want to do is go back to what you were doing before and creating pages that compete with things that actually make you dollars. I don't want to create 5 more informational pieces to compete with my high commercial intent page. Also, another element that you don't want to do is I don't want to go to my most valuable pages and point to information. Case in point, like your homepage, the homepage is the hub. Unless you're a single service, single location, that hub page is pointing to pages that make you dollars. Your website is there to assist a customer see your service and its value. Secondly, it's to give them information. The other element is this. People, 90% of the population, or at least 100% of the websites that I've seen, most customers are not navigating your website. They're just not. The entry point is based upon a query that was served. They come in from a page. Nobody's going to your homepage, or if there is, that's very small amounts, depending on niche, that are sitting there reading all of your pages and reading your content, going from homepage to 7 pages. Like, it's not happening. People have a query or a sub-query or a question or need a scratch, right? They have an itch that needs to be scratched, a service request, or they have a question. Which one is it? Commercial information. And your job is to be in front of them. And then how do you want to be in front of them? In as many places as possible. Maps, local service, organic ads, and organic. That's it. Top of mind. Increase the overall probability of generating a click. That's your goal. That's the name of the game, in my opinion. There's more than one way to win. And don't stop. I'd rather do a little bit each time. Keep doing little by little. Don't get caught up spinning your wheels. Spin your wheels. Right? Okay. So you guys get this concept? All right. Let's go over here and see what you got going on. Hopefully this has been helpful. I hope that it has. Any questions? No? Okay. It's been an absolute blessing. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much this evening. Yeah. Yep. I have some fun stuff about the dump this coming days or two. By the end of this week, I have some fun stuff for you guys. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to give anybody a good idea yet. But two, what we'll start going over too is a way to start propelling your local and small businesses throughout the web, and creative and effective ways of pushing your brand, business, and service in 2026. Like more than just SEO, but still SEO. We're optimizing for search. That's the objective. I don't, there's no question. I don't believe that search is going anywhere. Like after spending some time reading and understanding things, it depends on your mode of thinking. Do you believe that Google is not going to continue to dominate moving forward? Do I think that traditional search is moving? Yes. Do I believe that Google won't be dominant in new ways of searching? I believe they will be. But if there's no questions, I love you guys and gals. I love you very much. I truly appreciate this. I hope that these strategies have been helpful. What we covered today, I'll do a quick summary. This could be for the short later on. Very quick and brief. Okay. So here's what I want to point out. So you don't want, see this here. We're not creating, see how you have this kind of thing? All right. And I see this on multiple websites. It's not just this. All right. And I'm definitely not picking on you, but I want to use this as an example to help future business owners because I see this all the time. So let's take a look down in the left-hand corner. You see the structure here? So you see how it says pest/spider, right? And I'm just using this as an example. These are both informational pieces of content. So we are at the third level or second level essentially. So we've created I'll show you this. So see you have spider, information about spider. So that means it's going to compete with my high commercial intent spider page. And on top of that, I have two informational pages. So I'm competing with my pest control page and I'm competing with my spider exterminator page. It looks like they redirected the top level page, but not the spider page, right? Do you see the problem here, business owner? And two, think about your own website. You fixed one, but not the other. And maybe this is you. Think about this if you have your own website like this. I've created two separate pieces of informational content that compete with my primary service pages. On top of that, I've created pest to compete, that's informational, to compete with my pest control page, which is high commercial intent, and I build it off the root. Secondly, I put spider, which is a primary service, and I have informational content after pest. So I have two separate pages in a completely different section competing with my high commercial intent pages. Now, how should it be? Well, when we have pages that are here, right, like this. So if we do spider, see how we have spider exterminator? So you have your spider exterminator page, and spider exterminator makes perfect sense. So if you have spider exterminator and you have a top level page, it looks like you're starting to put it into place. Excellent. And think about this for yourself. I'm just using this as an example because there's errors. And this is more of a done with you solution, and I want to help this person, but also you that's watching. You have spider. If I want to create information, I don't create in another section. I don't create competing content. I put, well, what is spider extermination? Now, why am I not using pest control? Because my high commercial intent pages that I'm targeting here, see this, is pest control New Jersey. Pest control, you hit the counties and you hit the cities that are within those counties. See how it's broken down? Hudson County, Clinton, you see this? Clinton, Lebanon, right? You get this? See how this makes sense? And then when you scroll down the page, what's in there? Well, I'm internally linking to all of the counties that are inside of a particular area, and then I'm linking to the service pages that are in that area only. All right? Back to the original topic. Do not create competing pages. And also, structure matters. If I have top level pages like Spider Exterminator, you support it with information. This way, it's clearly defined in a hierarchy. Everything that Google does has a hierarchy. Everything. Right? They made their own schema. The way they lay out their pages. Go, and if you don't believe me, go look at their stuff. How does Google lay out their own blog? Go look. Or better yet, what about someone else that's just not me that you feel is it doing a great job? What, Moz? SEMrush? Neil's site? What? Where? Who is creating double content that competes with their high commercial intent? Let me tell you, nobody. Nobody is. Who has a high commercial intent website that has an over-exceeding amount of informational content? Nobody does. The only way I'm going to have 10 high commercial intent pages and 200 informational pages is if I have conveyed to Google through structure that this is less important or this is supporting. And how do I convey that to Google? Because when I set up my pages, right, site.com, right, and I have service/info, okay, I point all of my internal links from my information to my service. I don't link back down. I only do it one time. The majority of the internal link flow points to service. Also on top of this, I have it further in the structure. The vast majority of internal link flow is pointing up to the service page, and it's less in the structure, right? What I don't want to do, what is wrong in my opinion, in most instances, not every time, not all the time, right? But most of the time, what's wrong is you have your sites, and I see this all the time, friends. And then you have services, right? And then you'll have site.com, and then you'll have service location. Great. But then you come in and you do site.com and you get that dopamine hit from the information. It easily indexes. It starts showing up in these overviews that change every single day. Or it gets some burst of traffic. It gets featured. Somebody shares it, right? Like some type of hyper temporary, non-dollar generating event happens that spikes dopamine in your mind. And you start cranking out hundreds of informational pieces that start to disintegrate and dilute your service terms. If you have 200 or 100 pieces of information and it's not structured right and the internal linking isn't right, Google starts to reward you with informational query topics. The traffic is what Google thinks your site's about. If I am getting all my traffic for info, what starts to happen? And you see this all the time to business owners. I'm getting all these info pages. I have all these pages, and I was getting a bunch of traffic, but my service page is dumped. And then you're curious why. The reason is because you kept feeding Google fresh content, which Google rewards. You neglected your high commercial intent. You're not refreshing. You're not re-optimizing. You're not retuning. You're not doing page gap analysis, which we just talked about. You're adding more informational content because it's easier to throw up something new, or you're on some type of package plan where they just keep cranking it out with AI, and you get that little burst of fake traffic that doesn't convert. And now I have an over-exceeding amount of informational content on my website. Meanwhile, my service pages are suffering. And Google just thinks, oh, this is a blog. This is a blog. Meanwhile, your competition is retuning. Their site hasn't grown. It looks like they haven't done anything in years. But meanwhile, they've been stacking links to that website and retuning that page. They just keep ranking and ranking and ranking it, and you're pulling out your hair wondering why. That's why. That's why. I love you guys so much. I really do, and I want you to win. I need you to win. I want you to win. I urge you to win. If you are an agency owner, okay, and you've gone to other white label providers, and then you realize after being in the game for a period of time that the white label providers are actually full retail, okay? If you want someone that's actually helping, that knows not only the business side, but the service side, I'm looking for business owners that have a clear defined mode, either have 5+ clients already, or have a clear, undeniable way of generating at least 10 to 20 new leads per week at least a 2% close rate. This doesn't matter. Can you get new leads in the door? Are you good at managing clients, but you don't want to do the work? You just want to close the deals? You just want to close the deals and you want to get good results for a fair price? Basically, manage clients and get new customers in the door while we do all the actual heavy lifting. You talk to the clients, we'll take care of strategy and the work. If you're that person, you're good at the sales, you're good at the management, the organization, but you don't really know SEO, you saw a lane for an opportunity, but you don't really know it. Like if that's you, I know lots of business owners like that, right? Please reach out to me. Book a time with me, all right? I put an entry. I don't give up time for free, okay? Even if it's a buck, right? Book a time for the dollar. Get in front of me, and we'll talk about how we can work together moving forward. I'm looking for hyper motivated ladies and gentlemen that have at least 5 clients or have a way of generating more leads consistently. And you're good at talking to people, you're good at getting customers, you're good at managing the customers, but you actually don't really know SEO. You don't want to know SEO. You don't understand the intricacies. You don't know where to get links. You can't do content. You can't do technical. You can't do audits. You can't do social. You can't do any of the other stuff except for get the custy in the door. I can help you with the rest. I don't want to manage the clients. I don't want to talk to the clients. They're all yours. We just want to do the work. If that's you, I would love to talk to you. Please reach out to me. 570-810-1080. Send me a text. If you want to get in front of me, pay the $5 or $10 or the buck, get in front of me. Get onto my calendar so I can actually talk to you. All right? I don't do free, but I will put a barrier of $1. When we were running, I learned that lesson when I was in, and too, if you're watching this and you're doing agency, like even when we were doing the signups, like we run, I won't say what platform, but when we run form type ads, right? Even the signups we were doing for $1. There has to be friction in order to kick out. It will save you so much time, effort, and hassle. Because how many calls, even if you book it out for 15 minutes, how often are you getting them right off the phone in 15 minutes? If it's not a close, you with me? So we want to kick all of the question people out, or the people that just want information. Like kick those people out. I want either business owners that want my help or people that actually want to scale. That's what we're looking to do. All right. So yeah, my goals moving forward, I've been working on the group. I want to give away, there has to be an entry point, but I realized that I want to educate and do the service. We want to do service, right? So yeah, that's it. Let's see. Do you have any questions? We want to execute on work. I love you guys. All right, here we go. But I'd be keen to hear your take on how to reduce duplication in location pages. May I ask what you mean by duplication in location pages? Please tell me what you mean by this, because when you have a page, all right, even if I have a page that's identical, all right, here, let me show you something here. Okay. So you'll talk to people I'm just putting it out there, and I mean this with love, all right? But you'll talk to people that maybe just started, and they'll say, oh, that's duplicated content. Duplicate content is not a penalty. Plagiarism is, okay? If I have 2 separate SERPs, all right, let's take a look at this young lady here, all right? Let's go to pages. We'll take a look at the index pages here. I'm assuming we have a high commercial intent. I think she has 25 locations. I'm just using this as an example. All right. So let's just say here you have Newark, right? You have Old Bridge, you have White House Station, you have Hillsboro, you have Flemington. Okay. So here, let's just take a look at this one. Okay. Here, I'll show you something. So here, we'll grab Flemington. Okay. And I'm going to show you something here. So Flemington. All right. And we'll go to White House. All right. These are pages that are indexed. Okay. Now, your tools, there's, and you might see it already. There's multiple ways to change a page without having to change the words, especially when you're building a skeleton. This is what we call a skeleton. We're trying to get the groundwork in because page age is the number one factor. So we want to say, hey, Google, we operate in these locations, right? So you are making modification to the page, but even though the tools may say, oh, hey, we have duplicate content here because you're changing the location information. But did you check the A tags? Did you check the code? Did you check the schema? Did you check the images, the alt tags? Did you check anything other than just those words that show up in the Screaming Frog in the word cloud, right? So word cloud would say, oh, hey, we have duplicated content, but that's not a penalty. Plus, if I have a page that is in, like we just mentioned, let's say pest control in Flemington, and then you have one that's in, so here, watch this, pest control Flemington, New Jersey, okay? And then you have your pest control in Newark. I'm going to point something out to you. And you may or may not know this already. So Green, Yelp, Elrich, right? Or whomever, however you pronounce it, right? Narso, Horizon. You with me? The next element is this. We scroll down. We're in Flemington now. Here's Elrich, so they moved up. But Viking moves in position. We have Fox and Yelp. Did you notice something? We have different players' pages or different SERP position, or we have entirely different players. So what's this tell us? These are two entirely different SERPs. So even if I directly 100% copy the content, it still doesn't matter because it's two separate SERPs. Who cares about duplicate content? Google doesn't. You with me? Plus, you're looking to change the code, all right? You change the code around 30%. Where what I really like is you'll play around with, I like A tags, right? I like schema density. So that's up to you how you decide to do that. You also your internal link flow. So hopefully that helps you out. I wouldn't be overly concerned with that. The only way that I would be concerned about that is if Google is not giving me any type of play, at least on the first run. See, the first run, the last thing I want to do is spend a whole boatload of money writing a bunch of unique pages. I want to know, is Google going to index me? Is Google going to reward me? Does Google even think that I even qualify? Do I show up in the top 100 in these locations for this term? Yay or nay? Because what we'll do is we'll find a state, we'll launch the 500 different cities, we'll see which ones hit and get rid of the rest. Then we'll start our refresh process. That's it. That's how it is. I don't want to spend the money up front. Like if I did a page that's the same thing and it hits top 3, do I want to spend money going back? Heck no. Right? It's about reaching the goal in the shortest amount of time for the lowest amount of money. You with me? I don't want to spend a bunch of money. I want to spend the least amount of money. And do the least amount of work. Right? Because lower work, lower time is lower dollars. That means a higher value proposition for the end customer. And that's what they want. Right? Especially small service businesses. Like depending on your niche, most business owners don't have this 5 and 10 and these magical numbers that people pull out of their wazoos. It's far and few. Right? And if they have that type of budget, they're probably going to top shelf. They're going to go and get cracked. So hopefully that helps you out, my friend. You know, like most businesses are in the $700 to $1,500 range, to be quite frank, is what I've found. And I've talked to thousands of different businesses, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses. I would say I have clients anywhere between 350 up to, I have a few very beautiful clients. But they have multiple locations. They're in very difficult niches, But yeah, I would say the average is probably somewhere between 750 and 1,500, somewhere in that range. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's go see about this duplicate content issue now. Good morning, Chris. Good morning to you, Carlos. It's great to see you, brother. It's great to see you. Yeah, I guess that's it for today. I love you guys very, very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Um, I'll see you tomorrow for Craig Campbell. I have more content for you. Um, yeah, I can't wait. We'll start teaching some more. We'll start doing ads, social media ads. I got some more stuff for you guys. I'm not going anywhere. I was thinking about hanging up my hat, but I took care of some personal things to focus on the things that matter the most to me. In business, playing this game is one of my favorite things, and I simply just can't stop. It took too long to get here, right? So I love you very much, and I love you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you guys and gals. You have a great rest of your day. Good night, Carlos. And Decade 7 or Decade.